Alright, yesterday we looked at what happens when we have AND statements and OR statements. Today we're going to look at what happens when we have conditional statements. So here's our title, here's our date. What we're learning today is how to construct the converse, inverse, and contrapositive of a given conditional statement. You need to make your essential question from this. In your notes, we're writing our essential question. Okay, why do we need to know this? We talked about this yesterday. Your do now is to tell me when an AND statement is false and when an OR statement is false. Excuse me. Alright, your conditional statement. A conditional statement is an if-then statement. Okay, you do not have to write the example. Do not have to write the example. If it's helpful, write it. If it's not, don't worry about it. So a conditional statement is an if-then statement, and it must have a hypothesis and a conclusion. So it's a statement that says if something happens, then something else happens. So if the cat runs, then the dog will chase it. The hypothesis is the if part that we also call P, but it does not include the word if. So here, if is not included, but we look for if, and right after if, the cat runs, that is our hypothesis. To negate the hypothesis means to make the hypothesis false, or we can say to add the word not. It usually works. So here's our hypothesis, the cat runs. We're going to add does not run. So the cat does not run becomes the negation of our hypothesis. Our conclusion is the then part. We also call it Q, and it does not include the word then. So we find the word then, and then we look to the right of it. So our conclusion is the dog will chase it. Again, to negate the conclusion means to make it false or to add the word not. So instead of the dog will chase it, it's the dog will not chase it. A counterexample is any case that shows the conditional to be false. And that's if the cat runs, then the dog will chase it is our conditional. So when this is false is when the first part is true and the second part is false or negated. That's when a conditional statement is false. So this conditional statement is false if the cat runs and the dog does not chase it. So the hypothesis is true and the conclusion is false is what makes a conditional statement false. That's the only time it's false. So if we go down here, we look for where the first part is true. We look at those. And then we look, where's the second part false? Oh, here it is. So this is false. Everything else is true for our if-then. Now let's think about why this is. Suppose our conditional statement is, if you do your homework, you can go to the movies. Okay, so that's what I tell you. I tell you, if you do your homework, then you can go to the movies. Let's put a then in there so that it's a true conditional statement. Alright, so say you do your homework is true. So this is homework. And this would be movies. So you do your homework and I let you go to the movies. Then I've told you a true statement. Say you do your homework and I say, nope, you can't go to the movies. Then I've lied to you. So that's where we get our false statement. Now this is the one that usually trips students up, because you think that if you don't do your homework and you go to the movies that I've lied to you. But the thing about it is I didn't say anything about what would happen if you did not do your homework. So I couldn't have lied to you because I'm not implying anything by this. I didn't say if you don't do your homework, you can't go to the movies. So, since I did not tell you what would happen if you did not do your homework, this statement, I still haven't lied to you. It's still a true statement that if you do your homework, you can go to the movies. And then, of course, if you don't do your homework and you don't go to the movies, again, because I did not say what would happen if you didn't do your homework, I haven't lied to you, so we still get our true statement. So the only time our conditional statement is false is if the first part, the if part, is true and the then part is false. So the converse of the conditional statement is formed when the hypothesis and the conclusion are switched. So we take if the cat runs, then the dog will chase it. And we're going to leave if and then where they are, and we're just going to switch the other parts. So we get if the dog will chase it, then the cat runs. The inverse of the conditional statement is formed when the hypothesis and conclusion are both negated, meaning we add the word not. So we take the cat runs and we add the word not. Sometimes we have to add a quantifier before it in does or will. Then we take the dog will chase it and we add the word not. So we still get them in the same order, it's just we're adding the word not. So if the cat does not run, then the dog will not chase it. And the contrapositive is formed when we do both things. We add the word not and we switch them. So they're going to switch, except our if and then are going to stay where they are. So we're going to switch them and then also add the word not. So we get if the dog will not chase it, then the cat will not run. Alright, we'll practice with some of these tomorrow, and be ready to test on Friday.